welcome to the second video in this series, challenging myths around capacity. We're going to take a look at a situation involving someone with a learning disability. In this scenario, an adult with a learning disability is brought into a nurse's office to receive the flu jab. Initial conversations with the patient leave the nurse unsure about the person's capacity to give an informed consent. The nurse will now need to make a capacity assessment and follow the principles and guidelines set out in our first video.
Hello, so what are you here to see me for today?
I went to McDonald's the other weekend. I had a hamburger.
Oh, lovely. Is that your favourite food?
Yes.
So do you know why you've popped in to see me today?
Don't know.
Come on, Kerry, you know why you're here today. Sorry, she has a learning disability. She's here for the flu jab.
Okay, so you're happy to have your flu jab today?
No, I don't like it.
Oh, it's okay. I'm her sister. She had it last year and she was fine. She doesn't know what she wants half the time.
Okay.
So the patient has said that they don't want the injection, but their relative would like them to have it. It's uncomfortable for our nurse, but at this point, the relative has no say. The decision is the patient's, and from our principles, we know that the person must be assumed to have capacity unless it is proved otherwise. Our nurse now wants to check the patient has capacity to make the decision themselves. It doesn't matter if the patient consented to the injection last year. It's this particular decision at this particular time that matters. So our nurse begins by making sure the patient has all the information and understands it. Having made sure that the patient has had all of the help and support that they need to make a decision, our nurse has kept the second principle. So we know from our checklist that the patient must be able to understand, retain and weigh up that information, which could be done by asking for some feedback.
So do you understand what I've just told you? Can you tell me what the flu injection's for?
It stopped you getting the flu, but not all the time.
So would you like the injection?
No, it hurts.
Okay, so do you understand what might happen if you don't have the injection?
I might get the flu, but I might not.
Okay.
In this scenario, the patient has demonstrated that they have the capacity to make the decision, and they have communicated the decision, which is point 4 on our checklist. The relative of the nurse may think it's an unwise decision, but we know from our third principle that this in itself does not indicate a lack of capacity, and the patient should be allowed to make it. But what if things had gone differently?
So do you understand what I've just told you? Can you tell me what the injection is for?
Don't know.
Do you know what the flu is?
It's an animal.
So you think the flu is an animal, so why do you think you're here to see me today?
Come on, Kerry, you know why you're here today.
Can you remember what I told you about the injection?
Come on, you know what it's for, Kerry. We talked about it before we came.
Don't know.
Are you happy to have the injection today?
Yes.
And why is that?
Don't know.
There you go. She said she'd like it, so you can give it to her.
So in this new situation, after a conversation with the nurse, the patient has decided that they want the injection. All good, right? But have they demonstrated capacity to make this decision at this time? Let's look at our checklist. The nurse has explained the information to our patient, but they haven't really shown that they've understood it, nor have they been able to retain the information. They have been able to communicate their decision, but without understanding, retaining, or weighing the information up. This on its own does not show capacity, and the nurse must now assume that the patient is not able to make the decision. This would now move forward to a best interest decision, a procedure not covered in these films.